Okay, so I have a recipe for a spinach salad here that I need to unscramble. My ingredients are spinach, almond slivers, sunflower seeds, and teaspoons. I'm going to start with spinach. The first thing I'm going to do is pick units that make sense. So anytime when we have a vegetable, cups would be a good measurement to start with. For spinach, I would also say ounces because you could weigh the spinach. Sometimes a spinach package might say how many ounces is in it as well. So I'm going to start with cups and ounces for spinach. My next ingredient are almond slivers. So I think ounces could be a good way to measure almond slivers, weighing the almonds, but I can't use ounces because I already have that here. I need to find something different to convert to. So when I think of almonds, I think they're pretty small. So I'm going to try tablespoons. But if I have enough almonds, a cup might make more sense as well. So I'm going to try tablespoons and I'm going to try cups. When I'm thinking of sunflower seeds, okay, now sunflower seeds are really small. So maybe teaspoons would make sense. I'm also going to try tablespoons because anytime I try teaspoons, I like to try tablespoons as well. And then for the dressing, so dressing is kind of liquidy. It's in usually like an oil. So I'll try tablespoons. And maybe I'll try ounces. Since it's a liquid, it might tell me fluid ounces. Also, if I'm thinking about how much dressing I'm putting on a salad, using a measurement like cups wouldn't make sense because that would just be a lot of dressing. So you should start with at least 2 measurements that you think make sense. Now that we have these, I'm going to start converting. So I need 250 milliliters of spinach I'm going to start with cups because that's the first one I have here. Before I convert, I do want to say, if you need this cooking units of measurement sheet to help you brainstorm what units would make sense, go ahead, open that up if you're stuck. Pause this video until you have your measurements that make sense on your Google Doc. Now that you have your measurements that make sense written down, you can start converting. So I have 250 milliliters of spinach, and like I said before, I'm going to try cups first. So I'm going to go milliliters to cups. I have 250, which gives me about 1.05. I'm going to check this with my recipe or with my expression. Is there a coefficient that is either 1.05 or really close to 1.05? I have a 1 here, and 1 is really close to 1.05. 1/4, let me put that into my calculator and see what I get. It's equal to 0.25, so I'll just write that down here so I don't forget. But that's not close to 1.05. 2 is not close to 1.05. 1 is definitely closer. And then I also have 3 halves. So let me double check that. Anytime there's a fraction, we need to double check what it is as a number in a decimal. So I get 1.5. So 3 halves equals 1.5. That's just for future reference. So I have a number that makes sense. I'm not going to use ounces because I have a number cups that makes sense. If I wanted to check, I could do milliliters to ounces. And I get 15. Oops, 250. Okay, so I get 8.45. I don't have any coefficient in my expression that's even a little bit close to 8.45. So I know ounces I'm not going to use. So you literally have the answer key down here in your expression. You just have to find the coefficient that matches your conversion. So I am using 1G to represent my spinach. I'm measuring in cups. I'm just going to round this to 1 cup. And then again, 1G is what I'm using in my expression. If you ever have a variable without a coefficient, So if I had just a G, I can always assume that there's a 1 there. Okay, so I found out how I'm measuring my spinach. Now let's go to my almond slivers. The first measurement that I have that makes sense are tablespoons. So if I go from ounces to tablespoons, how many ounces did I have? 2 ounces. And that gives me 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to come down and check my remaining terms. So I have 1/4 as a coefficient, 2, and 3/2, which is just 1.5. So none of those are 4. So I know I'm not going to be measuring my almond slivers in tablespoons because I don't have a 4. When I did the conversion and I got 4 tablespoons, I do not have a 4 as a coefficient in my expression. So instead of using tablespoons, I thought cups might make sense as well. So let's try ounces to cups. I had 2 ounces, and that gives me 0.25 cups. So again, going back to my expression, do I have 0.25 anywhere? I have 1/4, and 1/4 as a decimal is 0.25. So a measurement that makes sense for my almond slivers is cups, and it's going to be 1/4 cup. And the term that represents, the term in my expression that represents the almond slivers is 1/4 Q. And I'm going to put that in a different color. So you should have the correct conversion as well as the term in the expression. When I say term, I mean the coefficient and the variable in the expression that represents that ingredient. The next thing that I'm going to do is convert cubic centimeters of sunflower seeds to teaspoons, since I wrote teaspoons first. So cubic centimeters to teaspoons. And how many cubic centimeters did I have? 32. That gives me about 6.5 teaspoons. When I look in my expression, the remaining coefficients that I have are 2 and 1.5. That does not give me 6.5. My conversion is 6.5, and my coefficients do not match. So I'm not going to use teaspoons. What I'm left with is tablespoons. So let's see if that gets me anywhere. 32 cubic centimeters gives me about 2.16 tablespoons. So I'm going to say about 2 tablespoons. Do I have a coefficient that is 2? And the answer is yes, right here with a T. Now I know the conversion is technically 2.16. I know that. But for my recipe, I'm just going to round down to tablespoons because those are easier to measure. I can't measure 2.16 tablespoons. That wouldn't make any sense. And it would also be really hard to measure, which is why it wouldn't make sense. So I'm putting the term here that represents my sunflower seeds. So the only term that I have left is this one, 3/2 A, or 1.5 A. So when I'm converting teaspoons to tablespoons or ounces, I need that conversion to be 1.5 because that's literally the only term that I have left. So let me try going from teaspoons to tablespoons, converting from teaspoons to tablespoons, and I get perfect 1.5 tablespoons. So I don't need to check ounces because I know tablespoons is correct. Again, I'm putting this in a different color and then putting the term next to my measurement. So what I'm expecting when you submit your unscrambled recipe is that you have the appropriate measurement and the term that represents that measurement in your expression.